Hey guys, what's happening? It is time to talk about Shokugeki no Soma. Now, we are going to be starting with the anime, and one thing I do want to mention, and I'll say this quite a few different times, is that what we want to do is keep manga spoilers out for the time being. Ultimately, what we need to do is, if there are anime-only watchers in here, I don't want to ostracize you, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the anime specifically, how well they've adapted so far, and just talk about like voice acting, animation, etc. And you can talk about the story if you want as well. And then I'll change the text down here, and when we're going into the manga, so that if if you don't want to be spoiled, then you can leave at a certain time. But I figured I would start anime only first. Uh, that way we can sort of ease into the manga discussion, which is going to be far more intensive, more story based. So that being said, um, let's get right into the anime. Um, so the first thing I want to talk about is the animation. Now, I think this animation is really good so far. Um, better than I could have imagined, honestly, because if we think about it, the manga has really good art. And I'll say that, like, if you were an anime only watcher and you're looking to go into the manga, it has really good art. Um, the guy who draws it, Shunseki, he actually doesn't write. The writer is Sukara Yuto. However, the artist is actually Shunseki. So they're actually like a duo, and the art is actually really, really good. And so they needed to do that some sort of justice in the anime. And so JC Staff, the people who are animating the anime version of Shokugeki no Soma, I think they've done a really good job. In general, the animation just looks very crisp. I mean, very smooth, crisp, uh, very vibrant, very colorful. Uh, in general, it just everything looks great. Um, Now, we did see Hayama in the last episode, and his hair is a little different than it was colored in the manga, like when there was like a cover page with Hayama on it, because actually his hair is a little bit more pinkish. You can look that up. It's supposed to be a little bit more purple pinkish, but I think the more like white silver type of look still works for him. So if you're watching, tell me what you guys think. Otherwise, I mean, Soma looks awesome. Actually, honestly, in the beginning of the manga, he didn't look as cool as he does now. But I think the anime did a really good job of capturing Soma's look, and they keep the eyes like if you notice whenever they go into a like a comedic moment, the eyes turn like solid white, and that was a pretty unique trait of the manga, and they kept that in the anime, which is really nice, and they pulled it off really, really well. So I'm definitely very happy about that. Let's talk a little bit about the voice acting, unless any viewers have any questions or something like that. So yeah. Um, Yeah, so let's talk about the voice acting. So the voice actor for Soma is Matsuoko, who you may know as the guy who played Kirito from Sword Art Online, which is a lot more well known than Shokugeki. And it seems like this guy Matsuoko has been doing a lot of like he's been doing a lot of voice roles, like protagonist voice roles as of recently. And I know a lot of people were sort of skeptical of that, but honestly, I think he's done a really good job. Um, I think over Kirito, I think he played Rin Okumura. Um, I think he played Rin in what's it? What is it called? Blue Exorcist or Albino Exorcist. I watched the dub, so I don't know. But I think he matches Soma really, really well. And I don't know. I don't know if they could have gotten a better choice for him. So yeah. Also, the dedication that Matsuoko has for Soma is also really impressive, considering that if you don't know, he's been doing something like he was doing like a cooking show. I don't know if he's still doing it because I haven't seen an episode in a while. He was doing a cooking show where he had Soma's like cosplay on, except for he didn't change his hair color, but otherwise he was doing a cooking show where he cooked like fried rice and shit for other voice actresses. Of course, they all had to be girls. He did the Megumi's voice actress, Erina's, and Ikumi's voice actresses. So I think like that's really it shows dedication to the series and the character overall. He also did the squid thing, which was hilarious. The first episode he did, I think the peanut butter, and then he did the honey, which and they were both awful, which is just hilarious. So yeah. Now I'm not sure if anybody's commenting or anything like that, because I'm looking at the chat and I don't see anything, but it's not showing like the chat on the side. I don't know. If anybody knows how to fix that, let me know. But anyway, uh, let's talk about some of the other voice actresses. So yeah, let's talk about Megumi, like another central character. She sounds like really. She sounds perfect. I'm just gonna keep it short with that. She sounds like very sweet, innocent, very cutesy. It's perfect. Like I could not have asked for a better voice role, at least in Japanese, for Tadokoro. And Erina sounds very condescending. Um, just in general, uh, just sounds perfect. Um, yeah, Erina sounds very condescending, very sort of stately. So she kind of sounds like she has come from like the upper echelon of like class and as well as even cooking wise. So like the voice actress actually doesn't sound much like Erina like in real life. So to make that voice for her is actually really good. Um, and so I do think that that's a really, really good voice role for her. Now, let's talk about some of the others, like some of the more minor ones. Ikumi sounds good. She has a little bit deeper voice than the others, which makes sense. She sort of has like sort of a maturity to her, like sort of her body as well as like some of her attitude. Although she reverts to like a child whenever it comes to Soma because she goes right into the tsundere mode where she just goes crazy. I think it's hilarious. So I think the voice actress choice for her is also very good. Hisako's good, um, sort of higher pitched and sort of very fond of Erina, of course, because she's very good, etc., etc. All sounds great. Now, oh, Alice, I forgot about Alice. Alice sounds perfect. Her, she's like this high pitched, very energetic and very silly character, and her voice is absolutely perfect. It sounds, it has a higher pitch, more energy to it. Very, I don't want to say dainty, but I guess sort of like girly, and yet very silly. Um, so they've they picked a very good voice actress for Alice, and I think overall it just works very well. Uh, Hayama, we'll get to Hayama real quick. Hayama and Kurokiba, since we've now seen both of them, Hayama, I did not expect to have that guy. When I say that guy, if you watch my live reaction, you'll know that I recognize his voice right away. And he does Aomine Daiki in Kuroko no Basket, and what else does he do? Archer in Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, Unlimited Budget Works. My bad. Uh, so like I think he's done more that I recognize. Oh, Warwick and Gangsta. My bad. Um, he does Warwick. If you guys are watching Gangsta, so he's a very well recognizable voice actor, and I think he might be a bit deep for Hayama. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it sort of works. Maybe I'll just have to grow into it, but I do think it works. I don't know, but yeah, Hayama. I mean, he's got a great voice actor, but whether or not it really fits him, I'm not entirely sure. But I think it does work. He's lightened his voice up just enough that he could potentially pass for an anime teenager, not a real teenager. Of course, you have to distinguish between anime teenager and real teenager because anime teenagers can look like they're fucking 25. Jotaro. um, but yeah, I think it works. So Kurokiba. I'm not going to talk too much about Kurokiba, but so far, manga only viewers will understand what I say when I say so far. I think he's pretty good. Um, that sort of mellow, like apathetic tone is exactly what Kurokiba is. So that's good. Um, so I think that's about it for voice actors, unless anybody's here that wants to talk about more of the voice acting. Um, let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk about the openings first off. The first opening is pretty good. It grew on me pretty quickly. Um, of course, as I said before, the visuals are awesome, and the opening visuals and the sequencing is really good. My favorite part of that being the part where Soma is in the background, and he's like spinning his knife, and it just looks awesome. Uh, the first ending is also pretty good. I didn't care for it that much when I first heard it, but like the first opening, it grew on me a little bit, and now I kind of like it. So again, it's pretty good. The animation, the visuals are not quite as good for the first ending as the first opening, but that's to be expected because I think more people skip the ending than they skip the opening of like anime in general. So it is sort of forgivable. But let's talk about the greatness that is opening 2. Holy shit. Opening 2 is amazing. Uh, in my opinion, there is no opening in the summer season of 2015 that rivals it. Yeah, there's like I'll tell you the anime that I watch. Um, I'll tell you the anime that I watched this season. I'm watching Ushio Totora. I'm watching Shimaneta. I'm watching uh, Overlord, Gangsta, Monster Musume, Dragon Ball Super, Did I say Gangsta already? This, of course. And I think I might have missed one. I don't know, but I'm watching a lot of those, and there's some good openings in there. Honestly, the only opening, oh, Prison School, of course. Yeah, I think the only opening I actually skip is Prison School because I'm not a big fan of it. Um, but the other openings are pretty good, and like Overlord and Gangsta are really good openings. But I think Shokugeki no Souma opening 2 trumps them both. Um, not and I'm just talking about the song. The visuals are way better than anything else this season. Um, like I said, JC Staff killing it. And Madhouse is doing Overlord. Think about that. Madhouse, the guys who did Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter, however you want to say it, the guys who did that anime did Overlord, and their visuals for the opening still pale in comparison to JC Staff's Shokugeki no Soma opening. So, I mean, wrap that one around your head, because that's some shit right there. So I think, oh, and JC Staff, they're doing Prison School too. But I don't think the production quality is quite as high. So I think, when it comes to Shokugeki no Soma, I think JC Staff has really put in a lot of dedication and effort. I can sort of understand why, because even though it's not very popular in the West, although it is becoming more popular now because of the anime, the manga did very well in Japan in 2014. So it does make sense that it was highly anticipated by the Japanese. And so JC Staff really put a lot of work into it. While Prison School is also popular, it didn't do nearly as well as Shokugeki no Soma in manga sales. So again, I think that's where the priorities came in. So I really do have to I thank JC Staff for being so good with this anime. They've really handled them with care. So needless to say, the opening is awesome. I think the opening is significantly better than the first opening, even though the first opening is pretty good. However, let me take a big deep breath here. The second ending is not good at all. I'm sorry if you like it, but I cannot stand it. I can't stand it. The visuals, again, are not bad. For JC Staff's standards, they're not that good, but they're not bad from just an objective standalone standpoint. They're not bad. Um, I mean, in the beginning, it's interesting how, like, Aaron is walking to the beat of the song, which is fine. I mean, it works that way. But the song itself is terrible. I cannot listen to it. Like, I mean, the music itself, like the instrumentals, are not half bad, but they're also not that good either. It's too mellow for my taste, and some of it's a little off key, especially at the end. But the singer, what the fuck is going on with her? She's like, she sounds like she just got off from like, I don't know, taking some pills or some shit like that. I don't know, because she's like, almost like she's squawking at the end. She's way off key in her singing. Like, what the actual fuck is going on here? Um, I don't know. Apparently, she's famous. I've heard that she's a famous singer. I have no idea why. Maybe she's better in her other songs, but this song, not so much. Uh, I don't know. Maybe she took some like I don't know. Maybe she took some pills that like fucked up her voice, or I don't know. She was like smoking pot or something, and then she was just high while she was singing. I don't fucking know, but it does not sound right. But as I said, the visuals aren't bad. Um, the color in it is nice. I mean, there's a nice like purple blue theme to it, which I mean is always nice for me. I like dark purple and blue, so blue is my favorite color. So I mean, I do like the visuals. Let's see what else. Let's talk a little bit about the story for anime only watchers. Now, this is not a spoiler. However, I am going to talk a little bit about how the manga handled what just happened a couple episodes ago, um, so you get a better feel for what's happening here. When it comes to the autumn election, actually, they switched the Karage couple episodes and Soma's dad returning. No, what happened was in the manga, after the Hell Camp, after the Hell Camp, Soma went back home to rest and ended up doing the whole Karage thing with Mozuya and eventually meeting Azan, the ninth seat of the Elite Ten of Totsuki Academy. And now they say this is at this point is when they tell Soma that he is in the autumn elections. That's when they basically tell him that he was selected, I believe, or it was around that time. And then Soma's dad came back. And the point of that was that when Joichiro came back, he faced Soma, and the same thing happened. Soma lost. And it was then that Joichiro was like, you better not lose in the autumn elections, basically. Because Soma already knew that he was in the elections by the time that Joichiro came back. And so it was sort of a setup for the autumn elections when Joichiro came back. Instead, they did it differently. They sort of, I think they were playing off of Erina's um, sugar daddy crush on, I don't know, on Joichiro, and then not that she has to live off of Joichiro because she's fucking rich, but I don't know. I don't know what to call that, but um, I know they call it. Do they call it cougars for guys too? I don't know, but but I think they were playing off of Erina's crush for Joichiro, like saying like, "Oh, look at him, he's so cute and shit." I don't know, and then they're like, "Hey, we want to show him next episode." I mean, that's what I think they were going for. I'm not sure why they switched up the order of things, mm, but ultimately, for anime only watchers, that is what happened. In the manga, they actually switched it, and it actually made more sense in the manga. I think just the way the sequencing went. Um, I don't really get the anime transition too much, but whatever. I mean, it was still fine. Um, let's see. Yeah, so I mentioned that. Um, so far, anime only story. Um, Soma at this point, do anime only watchers, do you guys think that Soma is sort of a Gary Stu character? And what I mean by that is Gary Stu is basically a perfect character, somebody who just can't lose or just perfect in every way. Because I know a lot of people were like, because I caught up to the manga around the beginning of the autumn elections, and I knew a lot of people were complaining about Soma being a Gary Stu type of character. So, one of the things I want to talk about is Soma's character here because uh, if anime only watchers you think he is, that's fine. However, what you do have to recognize is that Soma has lost, what was it, nearly 400, 500 times against Joichiro. um, he lost against Shinomiya. Some people say that if some people are saying that if Soma had been in charge of the dish, that Shinomiya would have lost. I personally disagree with that. I don't see how Shinomiya would have lost against Soma. I think what they did was they made it very clear that Shinomiya was above Soma in both the anime and the manga, um, where Soma blamed himself. He didn't say if I was in control, we would have won. He blamed himself for losing. Um, so, in my personal opinion, and I think it's honestly nothing short of fact at this point, that Soma is below Shinomiya, at least right now. And he has lost on screen twice. Once to Joichiro and once to Shinomiya. Also, if we look at the battle or the Shokugeki against unofficial Shokugeki against Ishiki, what happened was they tied. However, um, I believe it was Ibasuki or Ibusaki uh, came up to him afterwards and asked him why he did not do his specialty, um, which would have, in some case, it would have ultimately had Ishiki come out on top. So we knew again that he's not ready for Elite 10. Um, does Soma win a lot? Yes, he does. He is the main character, so he gets more opportunities to win, and he does win. Is that a bad thing? No. Soma comes into the story as a very powerful character, and I say that loosely because yes, it's a cooking manga slash anime, and yes, uh, he's not, he's not fighting people, but he is a very good cook at this point, and he is pretty much wrecking a lot of people. He wrecked Ikumi. I mean, what was it? He even got Erina to like hunch over in like orgasmic love or whatever. I don't for his food. And that fine as fuck girl in the first episode got her to go away from the restaurant. Um, yeah. She actually still might be the best looking girl in Shokugeki no Sama, believe it or not. And she was only a fucking cameo character. So um, let's see. Where was I now? Oh, yeah, Soma winning a lot. He did, he did pass Shinomiya's test. He passed all the different tests. He was able to pass that one test with the chef who never smiles, got him to smile, and it was really due to Soma's efforts, not really Tadakuro's. He's done a lot of good, and we cannot deny that. He did good for the Karage and the beating Mozuya. So he has won a lot. That does not make him a Gary Stu, because he has lost on screen. He has obvious character flaws. One of them being um, he doesn't have that sort of the training that some of Tootsuki has, um, and that's shown a little bit. And he doesn't have a lot of he doesn't have a ton of overseas experience or the experience that Joichiro has from traveling the world. There are things that he's lacking as a chef at this point. And you'll see it a little bit more as the story goes on. I don't have to say spoiler alert or anything because that's obvious, but you'll see a little bit more of what he lacks as the story progresses, which is actually a good sign of a protagonist, is that he has a lot of room to grow and progressively does so across the series. So I think that's a really good trait for Soma. Let me check the chat real quick. I don't think there's anybody posting if they can. I haven't gotten any messages on Facebook or anything like that, so I'm assuming you're either not watching or you're not posting a comment or whatever. So I'll talk a little bit about the soundtrack because I forgot about that. I think the soundtrack is pretty good. My favorite sound, I'm not much of a slow song type of person. I like the more upbeat stuff, and there's definitely plenty of both. I can appreciate slow songs if they're done really well. If you watch Fairy Tale, the slow main theme is fucking amazing. Um, but I like the faster versions better. Uh, so um, enough about Fairy Tale, but yeah, the soundtrack is pretty good. My favorite track is it's I don't know the name of it, but it's the track that plays a lot when Soma is doing something cool with his cooking, and it's like a very It's a very upbeat tune. I'll link it in the description if I find the track name. It's pretty damn good. But yeah, it usually plays when he's doing something cool with his cooking. And not talking about the orgasm music or Tadakura's orgasm music. Pause on that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that it varies pretty well between slow and fast, which is good. And it plays at fitting moments. The tracks play at fitting moments and does pretty well to immerse you into the anime. Um, I think the opera song is, which I call the orgasm song number one, the uh, the opera when it played when they first during Soma's first episode where he did the gotcha surprise pork. It's just fucking hilarious. Uh, just because it just sounds like they're being dipped in like a piece of heaven or something. I don't know. It goes perfectly with like the scenes. And the other one, orgasm music number two, which more plays with Tadakuro, and it's the girl singing a different song. Is also very fitting for her, especially. It does play with other people, but it's mostly plays with her. Okay, so now we've pretty much covered just about everything with the anime, at least. Since I'm not getting any comments, I'm assuming that um, nobody wants to talk about anything else with the anime. So just if you give me 1 second, we're going to switch over to the manga. Uh, so manga. Okay, there. So now we have a. So now I'm going to give a few seconds, but we're going to go into the manga now. So if you're not up to date with what is it, chapter 130, um, there will be spoilers up to that chapter. There are raws out, or not raws, but spoilers out for the next chapter. But I'm not going to be covering those because they're only spoilers. They're not even raws. Just like one picture. So when it comes to the manga of Shokugeki no Soma, as I said before, the art is amazing. Um, and I think what I'm going to talk about mostly is we're going to talk about this moon offering arc. I think that's what it's called, the moon offering festival or whatever the fuck it's called. The festival with that we're currently in the manga. Up to chapter 130 is what we're covering up to, as I said before. So let's start with Soma real quick because let's talk about some of his growth over the stagiaire period. I'm going to be covering that as well because the stagiaire period is very, very important to this arc now. Um, when it comes to Soma, he lost. Well, if if you're still here and you're an anime only watcher and you don't want to be spoiled, leave now because I'm about to spoil the autumn elections ending. Uh, so Soma losing to Hayama, um, has sort of sparked a new direction for his character. That being, what is quote unquote his cooking? Um, yeah, what is his cooking? What does that mean? Uh, yeah, so um, just replying to a comment on Facebook, but what does his cooking mean? And he sort of put it out there in the stagiaire period with Shinomiya's Kitchen, where he's taking everything that he's learned and he's putting it into uh, new like diner recipes and new ways to cook things and new ways to do things. And Soma's cooking, in my opinion, is always improvisation. It always has to do with surprises and transformations. Like even uh, what is it? The first thing he did to get into Totsugi Academy was a changing rice dish where he used an aspic, he used like the gelatinous aspic to melt over the ice or the rice, not ice, the rice to make like this beautiful dish. And so we see that come to fruition with his new dish, which is um, the mapo tofu with curry meatballs, where when they open up the meatball, it looks like the moon inside, and it like just erupts with aroma. So I think that's very important for his cooking, is like transformations and a lot of improvisations based on inspiration from your everyday things. Even when we go back to the karage, he got inspiration just from simple words from Mayumi saying, like, uh, what was it? Like, we should do things that only we can do, um, like, only we can do as a shopping district. Uh, so, that's where he came up with the idea of, the to go karage. And that really worked for him. So, it's always inspiration. Even the first chapters slash first episode, he got inspiration from a failure. So it's like all these simple things are giving him inspiration for these very complex and like improvised dishes and just transformation. So, like I said, during the stagiaire period, he was able to make, he was able to do something like that, where he was able to take all his experience and sort of blend them together into his cooking, which we're seeing now in this arc where he's, like I said, he made the curry meatball inside the mapo tofu, uh, and he took the day, as we know in chapter 130. He literally seized the day, literally. He literally carpe diemed. So uh, he ended up beating Kuga with just for the day, not for the whole. Obviously, not for the whole festival. For the whole festival, Kuga obviously made more money. Um, because Kuga took first all the other days. It's just this one day that Soma won with the help of Kyoji. No, with you guys know that reference. with the help of everybody: Subaru, Tadakuro, Ikumi, Aldini, the Aldini brothers, etc. You know, so ultimately, I think this is a really, really good point in the story, because it's really showing failure and growth, because that's a very important thing for a main character. Is every main character needs to get knocked flat on their ass. I don't care who it is. Um, they need to get knocked flat on their ass, and they have to grow as a result. Um, that's one of the reasons why I think certain main characters don't work. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I should go there. This is about Shokugeki no Soma, not about Fairy Tail. um, not about other anime manga that failed to do this. But if a series is long enough, the main character needs to get knocked flat on their ass. They need to be taken down a peg if they're strong from the beginning, because that's part of growth. Is I'm stealing a quote from Legend of Korra. It's such a great quote. He says, no spoilers for that series, but the person says, when we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change. And that is so true. And it's very true of Souma, where he lost the fight of his life in the autumn elections, and now he has to bring it back. And he is bringing it back. It was devastating for him, and now he's fighting back. He's learning what it means to have his own cooking, because that's one of the critiques that both him and Kurokiba received. Now, whether or not Kurokiba also listened to this is up in the air. We don't know, but we're assuming that Kurokiba has also evolved with Souma and Hayama. Where the chef rankings are now, who knows? Maybe Alice is the strongest of them now. Maybe Kurokiba is the strongest. Maybe Soma is. Maybe Subaru. I doubt it. Maybe Takumi. Takumi showed some growth. He was able to keep up with Soma in this latest chapter. Maybe Hayama's gotten even better and it's the best still. We don't know. But ultimately, everybody has shown some growth except for Alice's team, because we don't know what happened with them, really. We're assuming that we're going to see them next. I hope so, because they're such a great team. I love Alice. She's my favorite girl character. And I really like Hayama, and I really like Kurokiba. So I want to see more of them, see how they did, and I want to see growth from them. I want to see what they've learned from the stagiaire period. Hopefully you guys agree. And ultimately, going back to Soma for just a second, I think Soma is really, really good as a protagonist. Really good. He's very likable. He has growth. Like I said, he gets knocked flat on his ass, and he grows as a result. That's part of his character. Is failure breeds success. I don't know who said that, but it's definitely a quote. Failure breeds success, and that's Soma to a T. And he's very likable. He's very funny. He looks awesome. Like, his newer character design is brilliant. Shunseki, you are OP. You are overpowered when it comes to drawing. So yeah, that's it for him. Let's talk about Tadakoro a little bit. Tadakoro started off as an unlikable character, in my opinion. She was very cutesy and very innocent, but she seemed to just rely on Soma a lot. But she has grown into her own. That is for absolute certainty. She now does not have to rely on Soma. For example, going back to the stagiaire period, when she was working with Erina, she voiced her opinion and was able to make a change in a very popular restaurant. I think the guy had a Michelin star, and she was able to make a change with the gravy boat, or whatever. I think it's called gravy boat, right? With the gravy boat, like saying, why don't we give them the gravy boat so that they can put as much sauce on it as they want? So she was able to keep up with the cooking as well. And Soma wasn't even there. So that tells you right there that she's really grown to her own. And let's not underestimate what she was doing in chapter 130 and 129. She was cooking, she was watching the oven, as well as doing customer service. She was serving people, seating people, etc. She was doing a lot. And, the fact that they finally got help only alleviated her. But she was doing that shit all on her own. That was a two-man squad. And they were still doing relatively well. Not just thanks to Soma, thanks to her as well. So she has really grown very well. And I would not be surprised if she comes out later on and just lays the smackdown on one of the other autumn election finalists. I would not be surprised. Um, and so I do like her character. She's my second favorite girl character right now, just after Alice. As far as like Ikumi goes, I don't know. Maybe she's third. I guess because there isn't much else competition after the other two. So Ryoko and Yuki are okay. Hojo we haven't seen enough of. Now I don't really care for, and Erina I still don't care for. Oh, is it time to get to that? I guess it is. So let's talk about Erina. I'm not gonna go too far in because I'm gonna piss some people off. I know it because a lot of people like the Queen. I don't, and here's why. Okay, I've been sort of waiting for this, but Erina is a great chef. There is no doubts about that. Okay, and she looks good for a 16-year-old. Okay, she's built like an 18 to 20-year-old. I don't mind telling you that, even though I'm far over age. She's again separating anime teen from a real teen. She doesn't look like she's a teenager. She looks at least 18 to 20, if not more. But looks and cooking skills aside, her personality is still unlikable. Granted, she has made some advances. That I will admit. I will concede the fact she is getting better. However, she still has not done anything to overturn the fact that she nearly ruined Soma's career. Now, let's analyze that for just a second. Do you remember what the guy said to Soma when he stopped him? He's like, "Who is this girl and why are you all running?" In the very beginning of the manga, he said, "If she says one of your dishes are disgusting, you could be ruined for life if that gets out." So the fact that she loved his dish, she even said, "This is a whole new world of flavor for me. I've never experienced anything like this." The fact that she loved his dish and then said it's disgusting because of pride alone made her extremely unlikable from Jump Street, because that could have ruined Sama's career as a chef, and that's not cool. Um, so, like, I can understand if someone made a bad dish. It makes sense. If he made a bad dish, he deserves to have bad criticism, um, which could have ruined his career. However, he made a very good dish, and Erin loved it. But because she was very prideful, she decided to say it was disgusting. Granted, I will extend an olive branch and say, yes, Soma should not have taunted her the way he did, because that definitely influenced her decision. It was stupid of Selma to taunt her and get too cocky. Zebra would have had a field day with him. All right, Zebra from Toriko. Um, but just like I was able to acknowledge Erina's skills as a chef, she should acknowledge Soma's skills as a chef. And the fact that she didn't makes her an objectively unlikable character from Jump Street. Because you can't just ruin somebody's cooking career because you don't like them. That's a dick move. All right. So, like, I know I've talked about this for a couple minutes, but it's important because she hasn't overturned that yet. In order for her to become likable, she has to do something good that counterbalances that or overdoes it. Um, so far, she's done certain things, like she judged Soma's dish when he was going after Subaru. She did give him a hint without really trying to, which was good. She has opened up to Soma and her other classmates, which is good. That it's progression, and that's something I definitely applaud Sukada for, because um, he has to get he absolutely has to get her likable, or else she'll become, well, she is a blemish on the series, and she'll be a blemish until she's likable. For me, at least. Some people like her. I can't. I can't like her yet. I can't do it, and I have solid reasons why I don't. You know, can you blame me? I mean, like, even going further on in the series, she also took out a lot of like people's businesses. She took out that sumo wrestler's business by beating him in a Shokugeki, uh, which was, I mean, again, she's like a corporate giant. She's like the Walmart of of the series, uh, basically. Um, so while she's a good chef and she looks good, her personality is still unlikable. What can she do to get better? Do something that overturns it, or progressively do things that overturn it. She has to show that she's a completely different person than she was in the beginning. Because while she's getting better, there's no guarantee that she still wouldn't pass Soma with the dish that he made back then. Like, if I can analyze Erina and say this Erina would pass Soma if he made a dish as good as he did in the beginning, rather than she still wouldn't accept it because of her pride, then she's still unlikable for me. So that's it for her. I talked a little bit about Alice, I think, but Alice is my favorite girl character because she's almost like a girl version of Soma, but she has key differences between them. Um, for example, she has sort of a girly side to her, as well as obviously she has sort of a rich side because she comes from a richer family. Um, the whole possessive thing over Kurokiba, there are a lot of things that make her her and not Soma. Um, but at the same time, she shares a lot with Soma, which is realistic because obviously some people have things in common, personality traits, etc. Um, and yet she's her own character, and she's hilarious, hilarious, uh, so much more likable. And even though she's rich, she has sort of a high horse. She doesn't. She's not really that condescending. Not really. She was very friendly with Soma from the beginning, and she's still very friendly with him, even after losing to him. So it's just not the same. So how she's grown in the stagiaire period, I guess we'll have to find out because we still haven't seen much from her or Kurokiba or Hayama, which, like I said before, I'm really looking forward to. Um, so that's enough about that. Let's talk about this Shokugeki that is most likely coming up. Um, we have the Shokugeki from with Soma and Kuga. However, I don't know if it's going to happen now. The reason I say that is because I don't know that he's ready for it. And the reason I say that is because, yes, Soma did take the day, but he could not consistently take every single day. So I think as a chef, he still has a ways to go before he's able to beat anybody in the Elite 10. Um, though it could be that Kuga is the weakest of the Elite 10, even though he's the 8th seat. Um, I personally don't think that the rankings are indicative of power as a chef. Um, the reason I say that is because Erina is number 10, and I believe that she's a better chef than some of the others, but because she's a first year, they're not going to allow her to be any higher. Because in Japan, the whole idea of a senpai is very, very important to a lot of people. Um, Even in the West, it sort of holds some merit, but not quite as much as in Japan, I think. It's sort of like, I think a lot of Eastern cultures, even in Korea, not I don't know about China, but I know in South Korea, because I've had a lot of exchange students in when I was in high school. I had a lot of Korean exchange students that talked a lot about respect when it comes to the elders, and so I think a lot of Eastern culture favors age over a lot. Um, that used to be the case in the West, but I think in the recent past couple decades, I think that's sort of dropped. But regardless, I strongly believe that Erina is not the weakest chef in the Elite 10. And understand that I'm saying that objectively, not subjective. Not like, I'm not saying that because I like her, because I don't. I think I've made that clear. I'm saying that because she's Erina. She has the god tongue, etc. Um, yeah. So, like I said, the whole thing about Senpai is, I believe because she's the only first year in the Elite 10, that she's not really allowed to have another seat, or they're not accepting her challenges. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're straight scared of her challenging them. They're just not accepting her challenges. Because I mean, they have every right to refuse. Just look at Kuga, kept refusing Souma's challenges. So that being said, if Kuga is the weakest, now why is Azon? Azon is more of a businessman than a chef. So even though he might be better than Kuga, but he's not really gunning for a higher spot because he's looking more on business than actual cooking. Um, so if Kuga is the weakest, and I'm saying that because there's a chance if Soma's taking on Kuga first that he's the weakest of the Elite 10. I'm just speculating. I'm not saying for fact. But if that's the case, there's a chance that Soma wins if a Shokugeki occurs now. But I don't know that he's ready. I still think he might have a little bit more progression as a chef before he is allowed to challenge Kuga. And so if Kuga accepts the Shokugeki right here, right now, my guess is that it's not going to take place right away. I think it's going to take place maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 2 months ahead, where there's plenty of time for Soma to train, and Soma gets help from a lot of people. That's just my opinion. Tell me what you guys think. There's not much else to talk about, really. There's no more comments. I got like one or two on Facebook, but yeah. So, ultimately, I think Shokugeki no Soma is a fantastic series. In terms of anime, it's the best thing playing out there right now, in my personal opinion. Over Dragon Ball Super, over Gangsta, over Prison School, over everything. However, manga-wise, I don't think so, but honestly, I think like One Piece is probably my favorite of the things that are running now in terms of manga, but it fluctuates. But Soma is very consistent and fantastic. I love it to death, and I cannot wait to see further development with both the anime and the manga. So thank you guys for watching. Might be a little long-winded for you guys, but I just felt like it was necessary to just kind of dive deep into some of this stuff. So as always, check out my channel on Team Mystic Forum or Team Mystic, depending on whether you're watching a live reaction or a review. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.